question to him was, what is the most reliable way to make a determination of whether or not an individual had a gun in his hand? The most reliable and the most effective way to do this is by fingerprint. My third question to him was, you don't know who that gun belonged to. And his response was, I don't. So when you hear the media make these representations that Marquise Jones had a gun in his hand, there's absolutely no evidence. There's absolutely no proof. Marquise's sister, Whitney, was sitting in the car. There were two individuals, two eyewitnesses, who told the police that they saw Marquise get out the car. They did not see a gun. Despite that, their testimony was just simply ignored. If somebody is on this corner right here and two individuals witness a shooting and they tell the police officer that I saw that individual shoot that person, there's no question in my mind that that individual will be arrested. Police officers should not be treated any differently than a regular citizen. In fact, they should be held at a higher standard because they are hired to serve and protect the citizen, not kill the citizens. And this is what's happening in San Antonio. And I think what we need to do is very important because you guys re-elected the new district attorney. He's in office because you all went out and you voted and you supported him. Now what we need to do is we need to demand that this district attorney look at this case because it's set on the desk of a DA for over a year. And I've had the opportunity now to depose over 6 individuals, and I've asked them all the same question. I asked them, have you met with the district attorney's office to give them a statement? Not one single one of them have met with the district attorney's office. So what we're doing is we're going to depose everybody, and we're going to present that information to the district attorney's office. We're going to do the work for them. We're going to give them sworn testimonies of individuals, 2 Chacho's employees who were in the drive-thru, who had a direct view of the inside of the car. Both of the employees said they did not see Marquise with a gun. They both said that. How much more information do you need? You have 2 individuals who were sitting in the car. Now you have 2 Chacho's employees who were in the drive-thru. And if you've ever been to Chacho's, you know at that drive-thru window, they are elevated up so they can see directly inside the car. So they had the best view inside that car. And they both said that they didn't see a gun. So there's 2 individuals who have said they've seen a gun, and both of those individuals have conflicting testimony. So we have enough information to bring this case to the grand jury. There's enough information to indict this police officer. But the only way it's going to happen is if we make sure that they're held accountable. The information is there. I want everybody to know this is not us just having a press conference and telling you. This is information that we can stand behind. This is information that we can share with each and every one of you all. That there are individuals who said they saw Marquise get out the car and they saw him running like he was trying to get somewhere. He was trying to get somewhere, and where he was trying to get to safety, because he know the way that officer was treating Fabian Garza, the driver of that car, and Fabian Garza said, by the way, in his video statement that this officer slammed his head on the back of the car. He said this, and Marquise knew, he saw this, and he knew what individuals deal with police officers, and what he did was he got out the car and he tried to run to his safety, and he was shot in his back. And this is just not statements that we're saying. There's an autopsy report that's saying that Marquise Jones was shot in the back. And let's just assume in the worst situation, even if you had a gun in your hand, even if you had a gun in your waist, and if you're fleeing, and if you are trying to get away, there is case law, Tennessee versus Garner, that says that you cannot shoot a fleeing felon, because when somebody is running away, they're no longer posing a risk to you and others. There was no one that was out there near Perrin Vital when Marquise was trying to run to his safety. Nobody out there. And this officer shot not one time, 8 times. It wasn't one shot. He shot at Marquise 8 times. So again, we really appreciate you guys' support. We're going to be fighting this. We're going to fight this to the very end. This is not something that the family is looking at as a civil matter. This is something that the family is looking at as a criminal matter. We want this officer to be responsible for the death of Marquise, because there is no reason why no reason why his daughter should have to grow up without a father. It's no reason why his mother and his father have to go up and live their life without the son. There is no reason why Whitney should not have her brother. All of this was preventable. We know that this officer, this is not the first incident that this officer has been involved in. He's been involved in at least 3 other incidents where he has used force on individuals. But what they do here in San Antonio, they use intimidation and they scare people. They make people feel like if you go and you tell what actually happened, then something's going to happen to you. We can't let that fear control us. We have to. If you're involved in situations, you have to make sure that you report this. We have to make a record and we have to have documentation. So at this time, if anybody has some questions, we'll answer a few brief questions.
Have you been in contact with the new district attorney?
Yes, we have. Yes, we've been in contact with the new district attorney. In fact, we'll probably be arranging a meeting. The district attorney has reached out and say he wants to meet with the family. And the lead investigator and district attorney that's handling the case, we actually been presenting them information on the case as well.
Is it fair to say that this is kind of being just set aside? It doesn't seem like there's any priority as to come to any kind of resolution. It's been a year now. It's been over a year. Just kind of talk about the message it's sending that this is just, it seems to be being ignored.
It is being ignored, and the reason it's been ignored, what they're hoping for is that people come out today, people come out and we make a little noise about it, and then people go back on with their everyday life. But as you've seen in Ferguson, as you've seen in New York, and all the other cities, in order for you to really make this a priority to this district attorney's office, they have to see people continuing coming out in large numbers and demanding that this district attorney presents this case to the grand jury. It's been over a year. This is totally unacceptable.
When they dusted for the gun, were there any prints anywhere on the gun that would implicate that it was Marquise's gun?
They didn't dust the gun. That's one of the concerns. That was one of the questions we asked. Did you dust the gun for fingerprints? And they did not do it.
So they didn't dust it for anybody's fingerprints?
Nobody. And the question we asked, who does the gun belong to? They could not answer that question. The gun could belong to anyone. I mean, people plant guns. People do this type of stuff all the time. So we have no idea who this gun belongs to. This is very important. If you have someone that's saying that Marquise got out with a gun, why wouldn't you dust it? Why wouldn't? And second, let's just look at this situation. Marquise was trying to run towards his safety. If you just use a common sense approach to this, what would be the reason for Marquise turning around and trying to shoot at a police officer? It absolutely makes no sense. It doesn't add up whatsoever. But again, this is the same officer that was involved in a situation at a restaurant in 2010 when he was suspended. This is the same officer who you have to get authorization to be working an off-duty job, didn't have authorization from the city to be working at Chacho's. There's a lot of situations with this that the public may not know, but again, this officer here recently, he's going to go to a criminal trial. There's someone, Mexican guy that is standing trial right now. Officer Encina beat this guy, and they charged him with an assault on a public servant. And this is the guy that ended up in the hospital, not Officer Encina. This guy, and they've been threatening to deport him if he continues with the case. So these are the type of things that they deal with each and every day. This is happening right here in San Antonio, believe me.
So it could have been a tactic of the police planting the gun.
We don't know if it was a tactic of the police planting the gun, but what I can tell you, 100% without a doubt, under oath statement, that gun was not dusted for fingerprints, and there is zero evidence pointing that gun back to Marquise. No evidence whatsoever.
Is there an official police report that can the public see?
Absolutely.
How can we get that?
I mean, all you have to do is everybody have a right to do an open records request. Now, again, there's going to be certain information that they may not give to you because they can say that it's an ongoing criminal investigation, and there's information that you might not be able to get. But there's enough information that you can get to find out each and everything that happened. And again, you can see the statements, all the witness statements, the individuals who were working at Chacho's, you can see it. It's available, and you can see the individuals who said that I saw inside the vehicle and that they didn't see a gun. But again, what happens is, this is how you work on the public. What you do is, when an individual like Marquise or any individual is shot and killed by a police officer, unfortunately, the person who's dead goes on trial. What they do is they no longer focus on the police officer. They focus on the individual that's dead because he cannot defend himself. He cannot say what happened. So the sad thing about it, and what we are seeing throughout the United States, in most cases, when you see these use of force cases, officers now understand that it's better off having the victim dead than doing something because the victim cannot testify. But one of the things I want to make very clear, we're not saying that all police officers are bad. There are good police officers out there, but there are bad officers out there, and the officers who are bad are very bad. And we just have to make sure that another kid is not killed at the hands of someone who's here to serve and protect.
What is Robert Encinas doing now? Is he on suspension?
He's on administrative duty. Yes, and during that time, he's not allowed to work any type of off-duty jobs, etc.
So technically, he's still a cop.
Yes.
He's still paid.
He's still being paid. And that's the thing that we are really concerned with. I mean, the average individual would not be treated that way. They would not be treated and given those type of favors.
You mentioned the depositions for the Chacho's employees and a couple of others. Is that throughout the investigation, or is that just recently come to light? These employees are mentioning that they saw no evidence of a gun at all.
That's stuff that those individuals actually gave statements. The Chacho's employees gave statements during the criminal investigation. But again, they chose to use the statements that they wanted to. For example, I was looking at the medical examiner's report, and what the medical examiner said is that the car that Fabian Garza was driving bumped into the SUV in front of them, and that's what started the altercation. But if you look at his video interview, he is clearly saying that the car backed up and hit him. So you have conflicting statements. So with conflicting statements, they made the decision of which statements that they were gonna take. And I asked the officer who interviewed Fabian, why didn't they use his statements? And he could not answer that. He could not respond to that whatsoever. So again, if you look at the investigation and how things handled, clearly the officers are being protected. They're clearly being protected.
Good.
You guys could just stand there. We're going to just get some shots of you all kind of standing together. And it won't take long.
Any other questions?
As far as the Mexican man that was put in the hospital by Robert Encina, was he a Mexican national?
Yes. Yes. His name is Luis Carrillo. But you can look up, that case is available. You can go, that's open records, and you can get that information. They've been scheduled to go to trial on a couple of occasions, and it keeps on getting pushed back. But I've spoken with that individual. I've spoken with his wife, and the guy was beaten pretty bad. Had another incident that involved Officer Encina with the young man who was tased. They were just at Chacho's, just having dinner, and this guy didn't do anything, and he was tased by Officer Encina and beaten pretty badly. So again, this situation has occurred with multiple individuals. This is not something that has happened the first time. So this is why it's so important that we continue to push this, because we don't want another innocent individual to be killed by this particular officer.
Were all those situations in San Antonio?
Yes.
In the same part of town or different parts of San Antonio?
All at Chacho's. Yes, they were all at Chacho's, where this officer works off duty.
What's the next step?
Well, what we're doing right now, as you guys are aware, we also have a civil lawsuit against the city and the officers. What we're doing right now, we're in the discovery phase. And we're going to be taking multiple depositions throughout the week and throughout the next couple of months. But what we're doing is we're getting this information. We're going out, as I said, everyone who was a part of that investigation, everyone who had witness statements, etc., we're going to depose those individuals under oath. And we're going to find out exactly what happened. And again, we're going to use that information. We're going to present it to the public. We're going to present it to the district attorney. We want you guys to